Our success must be a flag to tell people there is something right in this country. You come and invest there.
We have been building this institution for the past 50 years. And for the coming 50 years, we need to expand outside of Egypt.
We are as good as our dreams.
Yeah.
You dream small, you remain small. You dream big, you will get there.
We are targeting the E by a very unique model, focusing more on the S and G. And this is very unique about our business model here in CIB. I think one important point, if you notice, when we are considering our capital adequacy ratio in CIB since almost a couple of years, we start focusing also on our green asset ratio. And that became integral part of the executive club assessment criteria. And we set that at the target. And we set the tone right for the market, even in Egypt, or the markets we are aspiring to reach by enhancing this ratio almost 1.5–2% a year as a critical target. Why? Because that's part of the value creation model, not because this is like a social responsibility exercise. It's part of the value creation because it has been economically proven that such activity, especially when it comes to the area of transitional finance, is yielding almost 50 to 100 basis point, almost a higher yield compared to the other, because of the reach first, because of the special and specific technical talents required in order to arrange such transaction with the required traits for the ESG lending.
I think CIB have been positioned quite well within the digital space during the past more than a decade ago. Our penetration of digital products across the base, whether in the consumer part, commercial banking or SMEs or corporate banking, is quite high. We've been pioneering on that space for a long time. I think the big thing that we're working on now is to change the mindset of the management team to think about the consumer of tomorrow, not just building digital assets. The way what we used to call Gen Z, which are now our core segment that we do banking with, and will potentially in the future will be the wealth segment, or private banking segment customers, or even on the SME side, those will be our mid caps and large corporates within the coming 5 to 10 years, are thinking in a totally different way in when they consume products in general. Financial products and financial services no different from that. The expectations about what to see in terms of service levels, turnaround time, communication, engagement, transparency is really different from what we've seen 5 to 10 years ago. We see different types of complaints. We see different types of daily activities the teams have to do in order to deliver those digital assets. This is the biggest change and transformation we're working on. Yes, the technology is a big part of it because it's a big enabler, but I see teams and mindset and culture is equally important to deliver those digital assets in the right way to the right segment at the right time. We're doing with the last maybe 18 months, we've done quantum leap of digital assets, what we presented to the market, new mobile banking app, tokenization and Apple Pay services, and many others are on the roadmap within the coming few weeks, inshallah, to launch to the market, whether for consumer banking, SMEs, or even within the GTB setup as well. This is how we think about it, and there's no tomorrow without being digital native, either as a homegrown skill set or business, or even as a separate venture that is completely digitally built from scratch, from the ground up, basically.
But I think being digital transformation and reach, combining everything together for the expansion, for the coming 50 years, it's not luxury anymore. And being a financial advisor and providing financial service, it's a must. So part of the transformation that's happening right now for the coming 50 years and linking together with the international expansion, this is where we see banking moving forward. And in order for CIB to be the leader for this and to continue to be the leader in the market, that's a must on the grounds. And this is the only way that we can expand locally and internationally on every single financial sector front. Link it together of how to maximize the shareholder value. This is a crucial part of it. And especially what Rashwan mentioned about the mindset and the culture, everything is changing. We're seeing customer demands are changing. We're seeing the new stuff coming to the bank in terms of mindset, in terms of their work-life balance. So we need to adapt. One takeaway for the past 50 years for CIB is how to adapt and evolve. And this needs to continue to happening on the grounds.
There are certain regulatory requirements that we are working on with the regulator, interacting. Maybe we are the pilot for that as well. That when completed, it will allow us to provide those services for those individuals overseas back home.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to do it seamless, simple, easy. As I said, you are sitting on your sofa somewhere and you want to send money to your family. While you don't need to go to the bank. You want to pay your bills. Most of the Egyptians overseas, they have periodic commitments they need to pay here. So you don't need to travel. You don't need to make a phone call. So we're going to get to that point. And soon we'll be able to provide them the service that makes their life easy. It's lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But always we keep, as Omar rightly said, if you don't keep developing your business, the way you introduce things, the way you conduct your business, you will be left behind. And it's not only the technology companies or the fintechs or the pharmaceuticals that need to keep developing. It's banking as well. And we are in a service industry. And the service industry need to develop. Think about it if you are like a very well-known restaurant. If you don't change your menu every now and then, and your decoration, people will get bored. Okay?
Sure.
And others will do it, and they will attract your customers. That's the point. The idea of just because you are an Egyptian company, you have to be just local, not to use the word to grow your business is wrong. You have to use the word. So yes, Apple is an American company, but they use the word to produce their products. We need to think about it the same way in the banking sector.
We were one of the first players in the mobile wallet space. We've acquired more than 1.5 million customers over that mobile wallet, but we keep evolving also. So our strategy now is more geared towards partnerships. So as Hisham was saying, that we don't need to manufacture everything. So that maybe we'll be the manufacturer of products and digital assets, and a partner will be responsible for distribution, service, and access. We believe that there is a big need in Egypt for the mix or the hybrid model between digital and physical reach, because there is a big gap on financial literacy. And there is a big barrier of what banks are offering in terms of banking products, even simple ones like accounts, cards, etc. And how people are perceiving those products. That's why you have a big cash economy in this country. So that we've struck the deal with the Telecom Egypt. We, the national telecom company, have more than 1,000 branches, and building a partnership with the company to distribute and serve financial inclusion segment across the country. That we're expecting to launch that within the coming 6 to 9 months, and that will cater for millions and millions of customers, especially on non-urban communities, more into the smaller cities and villages across the country. So this is how we think CIB is that leveraging our competitive advantage of building products, building digital assets, and partner with someone else who have the reach, the access, and the resources, who can get to the wide mass of customers and who make that balance. But I think the bank has big commitment towards financial literacy, which is a big part of a big barrier for financial inclusion in general.
I think it's not only about the business itself, because Egypt is still a cash-based economy, and this is putting lots of pressure on in terms of the money supply, inflation, and the budget deficit, and because of tax revenues. So it's not only for CIB and the banking sector; it's for the whole country as well. So in terms of reach, so we are pushing. So we have our own business needs in order to develop that and move forward as fast as we can. But again, this is serving everyone.
What we master is building banking products that are airtight, transparent, working well every time you want to use them, whether it's a card, an account, or a payment service, etc. But we will never be able to cater for thousands and thousands of branches. That's not our DNA. So that we always want to pick partners who have access to customer segments. That can be an e-commerce provider. I cannot mention names now, unfortunately, but it will be announced very soon. An e-commerce platform, and as I told you about this Telecom Egypt partner. So basically, a partner that have access to wide base of customers across the geography of Egypt. That's the main criteria. Anything else we can fill for, but this is where we want to how we choose our partners. I think. I think
what's really unique about the business model we build here, and what's really unique about the digital financial service business model of CIB, that blended three aspects of, or the so-called here in the room, 3Ds of data seeking, understanding, and proactively enhancing the demand capacity of the customers. Digital in order to solve for the reach and the cost to serve, and design because we believe that experience still matters. At the end of the day, we are a service company. I was posting on my LinkedIn a couple of days ago, why still people visiting Vista Village? Why they are not shopping on the digital platforms? Because at the end of the day, experience matters. When it comes to money, when it comes to your investments, experience matters. So design will be a critical factor of our digital transformational model, and the foundational building block is basically talents. That's why the team here is working on reversing the brain drain, seeking every talent in Egypt, seeking every and looking for every talent around the African continent, building the future banking operating system of tomorrow.
The future of growth. The great thing, we are the head office. The advantage we have here is that, which is again a challenge, that we are the head office. It's not like other banks who operate here, and they get direction from the head office. Their flexibility is not as our flexibility in terms of research and development. So we developed things that we can sell those services cross-border. What I mean is, now our SME model, if that model prove over years successful, using the data analytics on customer behavior, the platform for business process end to end, I can go to other countries and help other banks and sell them that products. Okay, the patterns and the source code will remain with me. The algorithm will remain with me, but I'm happy to help others, and that could be a way of expanding to other markets without being there. This is very much, as I said earlier, Apple is an American company, but where they operate and who use their platform, it doesn't matter where.
Well, I think, AI and machine learning as theory, I know it's the hype of the day, but they are there in theory since 60s and 70s. What's different about CIB is putting those technologies and new inventions into economic context. So exactly like Hisham's just explaining on the early warning signals of SME customers or the credit behavior, the credit scoring of behavior customers. These are behavior scores. They were there since 70s and 80s. What made really the difference, the investments we made on the computational power within CIB, the data warehouse we built within CIB, the lobbying we made in order to have a liberal data environment, not only in Egypt, but around the data Silk Road of Africa. Because technically, when you share the KYC across the continent or within the group, that will reduce the cost to serve 20-30%. When recently I was just reading one of the articles about the redundancy cost of the KYC within the London city, it's 2 billion sterling Egyptian pound, 2 billion sterling pound. So how much that number could be on the African continent? For sure, it's a huge amount. So I think we were successfully deploying those inventions into economic context to serve for the reach, the risk cost, and the experience uniqueness about the offering we are offering here. What the customers Rashwan was talking about to Telecom Egypt is completely unique, and they are completely different from the millions of customers we are serving day to day. And he's still able to manufacture, deploy, push, and sell and have higher closure rates.
I may put Amr on the spotlight as well, and I may ask him a question. I say, Amr, can you talk to us about your experience when you joined CIB more than 20 years, almost 20 years ago?
Yes, 20 years in CIB and another 15 years in
other banks.
I'm considering CIB is the only bank of Egypt. This is my first bank.
The only bank of Egypt.
And if he writes his CV, he will say, starting my career at CIB. Yeah. He's a great example of a great CIB. It's in his blood.
I started in 1987 and joined CIB in 2004. I'm considering my career started in 2000.
Very young.
Why?
Very young.
Why, Amish is asking you why. Why are you feeling this way?
The culture, everything at CIB is more than perfect. We are the leaders not only in Egypt, in the Middle East. CIB is completely different from the other world. Once a CIB and always a CIB. Yeah.
So technically, me and you joined the bank same year.
Yeah. 2004 is the golden year for CIB.
It will remain the jewel of the crown, not only in Egypt, but maybe in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
It will remain icon there. There is one thing about this bank that will never go. There is a mojo there, okay, which is the culture. And why this man, he loved the place. He said, I will write my CV from 2004, not before, is because of that. We are very proud that we preserved something good, we groom it, we grow it, and it became part of the DNA of everyone who works in the bank, either a board member or employee.
Or a customer.
I'm 100% sure that CIB always will be the best.
And in fact, I would like to add that my ambition in the near term, not in the long term really, is the success of CIB will bring investment to Egypt. So I want the people to talk about where CIB domicile, okay? Which company, what's the nationality of that bank? It's Egyptian. Then there is something right in Egypt. If Egypt can breed something that's successful, it means there is something right on the country. So when people look at CIB as success story, that will serve the country. As Omar was saying, that we are doing the financial inclusion, not only for us, but for the country. It's the same thing. Our success must be a flag to tell people there is something right in this country. You come and invest there.
I'm not worried about CIB. The secret of CIB is CIBians. But for sure, building on the Apple analogy of Hisham, I would expect CIB will be a business platform, not in technical or a digital term, but for sure will be a business platform that attract investments, that will cater for customers around the globe, manufacturing in Egypt, and sending a different quality of banking experiences around the globe for sure.
I joined the bank 23 years ago. And when I joined, we're writing on papers.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we evolved to the computers, and then we have evolved to internet, and then mobile. So it's tools right there. So banking will remain as it is. Definitely CIB will remain the best bank in Egypt, and not only in Egypt. Again, because of the people, because of the culture, because of the DNA that survived for the past 50 years. So it gives us, all of us, assurance that will continue for another 50, 150 years moving forward. It's all about how you adapt and evolve based on the customer needs. Again, I'm focusing on being a financial advisor because this is what we do. And we'll continue being a financial advisor as an institution, and banking will continue to be a financial advisor. It's about the tools. It's about the how. Bringing the AI on the place, bringing digital on the place. Again, those are tools. The experience will remain. People will still need to see banks on the grounds. We still, for Egypt, have huge room to grow. During our strategy process, we went and have a sample around the stuff and asked them, where do you want to see the bank in the coming 5, 10, 20, 50 years, and so on?
Yeah.
The vast majority said that we have been building this institution for the past 50 years. And for the coming 50 years, we need to expand outside of Egypt. Because everyone believes that we have the successful recipe as an institution. And we need to go outside of Egypt and bring this knowledge and know-how and have an exchange. Again, part of the culture is diversity. And so we have been very successful for the past 50 years for diversity in Egypt. Now it's about time to go global and have a different playing field where we think that we are capable to compete at.
If the bank continue to preserve its values, one of those values is innovation. Because it's not about adapting to change, it's expecting and foreseeing change ahead of others and being ahead of the curve. And in many cases, actually, make the change. So I don't want to get into examples, but CIB have been very prominent in driving change on the country level. Influencing, not really influencing, but convincing regulators of shaping the ecosystem. I think this is the real power of this institution. Because of its values, because it's the national champion, because of the skill set around the organization, we managed to get to see into the future a little bit, expect what's happening, and disrupt our business model multiple times. The last 10 years, I've been in the bank also for 22, 23 years. The bank changed its model 2-3 times within those days. We used to be a corporate bank, a corporate and consumer bank, a corporate consumer and SME bank. Now we're getting into more digital, data-driven organization. Now we're talking about exporting our core value drivers to other markets and partners. I think these are the real thing that we need to preserve as an institution, is that the disrupting or challenging the status quo, expecting into the future, take risk into business models, and that would preserve the bank into the future. So it doesn't need to adapt to a change that happened, but actually becomes ahead of the change.
Thank you so much for this very fruitful discussion. Perhaps, Hisham, if you want to give us the last little message on this anniversary, is that something you would like to say to your team?
The only thing I tell the team and my colleagues, we are as good as our dreams.
Yeah.
You dream small, you remain small. You dream big, you will get there. Be ambitious.
Very good motive.